So, about that Pokemon World's closing ceremony, huh? It was really looking like a mini Pokemon Presents. We got TCG Pocket, some Pokemon Go news, Pokemon Unite. Also, other weird things have been going on over the last couple of days that were making me wonder, wait, like, no Pokemon Presents, no other news, because Pokemon Cafe Remix was getting news. Pokemon Masters, they were giving their little bits of information. So it's like, oh, the Pokemon video game showcase that is a Pokemon Presents kind of already happened or was happening throughout the course of the closing ceremonies. So where's our Pokemon Legends EA trailer? Didn't happen. So now we got a few things to talk about. Were we even supposed to get a Pokemon Legends EA trailer? Also, does this now have implications for the Nintendo Switch 2? Because that announcement has already been confirmed. Let's break it down. So if you enjoy the video, don't forget to leave a like. Please share it with all your friends, because we're actually going to be talking about like some stuff that has a lot of misinformation around it, so we need to get that cleared up before anyone goes even crazier. And leave your thoughts down below. Also, we got a lot of great stuff going on with G Fuel. Pre-order the One Piece collector's box. We got 4 great flavors themed around One Piece. Also, the August BOGO, buy one get one free on certain flavors. So now is an incredible time to stock up on G Fuel. There's always games to play, there's always work to be done, there's always a need for caffeine, and G Fuel's just better with the Focus Complex. And if one of the flavors you want isn't a part of the BOGO, you can use code VERLICIFY for 20% off, and that also applies to the One Piece collector's box. So yeah, pretty good savings right there. Let's talk about what's going on with Pokemon Legends EA, Nintendo Switch 2, and all of that fun stuff. So, I mean, here's what happened in 2021. February 27th, Pokemon Day, Pokemon Presents. We got the reveal of Pokemon Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl and Pokemon Legends Arceus. And then August 18th, this is when we got the second trailer for Pokemon Legends Arceus. And it just makes sense, because we didn't get anything for June. So it's like, oh, slow year, even if we have something like a remake game coming out, we get some kind of trailer, we get some kind of news, but it was just taking a little longer for Pokemon Legends Arceus. Kind of makes sense because of the next year release. So very similar to Pokemon Legends EA. It's also the Pokemon Legends main series. There's no reason to not expect an August trailer for the next main series Pokemon game, and why not do it at Pokemon Worlds? It doesn't have to be a competitive trailer reveal if you have a large part of the Pokemon community there watching stuff about Pokemon. You want your most engaged fans to hear about the news and get them more excited. But no, we got nothing. And this is why I have trust issues, because there's no way, as the CEO of a company, in front of an audience of fans, you can stand confidently, smiling, knowing that you do not have what everyone wants to see ready. And then same thing when they followed it up, where it's like, oh, so yeah, he's bouncing off the stage. He's running to an armored car. Him and Masuda are getting in, and they are already in Japan by the time she starts speaking. That's how fast they need to get him out of there. And look at her. She's out there smiling. She's celebrating the event, knowing we got screwed. Which is even crazier for Pokemon Legends EA, because at least Arceus had gameplay. They showed something at the Pokemon Presents. We didn't get anything. People are still arguing if this takes place in the past or the future, because there's so little information about Pokemon Legends EA. No other clarifications except Nintendo tweeting it takes place entirely within Lumio City. People do not believe the official Nintendo tweet because it's bad optics. It sounds like a terrible game, but that's impossible for the Pokemon Legends series after Pokemon Legends Arceus. We need gameplay, we need clarification, we need to know what the heck this thing is about. Or at least the fans need to be reminded of its existence and be given some kind of comfort. Just show the outline of a new Mega Form, or give us some kind of like Pokemon Cry, like a tease. Would have been fine. It would have been at least something to go off of, but we have nothing about this game after Worlds, after August. Unless, like, but then it also makes no sense. Like, why next week on Monday or Tuesday say, attention trainers, get ready for a new Pokemon Legends EA trailer on Wednesday, 6 a.m. Pacific time? None of this makes sense. So anyone saying we shouldn't expect a trailer for Pokemon Legends EA in August at Pokemon Worlds is just objectively wrong. That's also backed up by the August 3rd, 2022 Pokemon Presents, and the August 8th, 2023 Pokemon Presents. We get Pokemon Presents at this time, and now we have a big, highly anticipated game with no information. It's the latest it's ever happened. Nothing happened in June. Pokemon news for the main series games is super dead. Like, it does not compute in any possible way unless you're choosing to be stupid. But maybe they can't show gameplay because the Nintendo Switch 2 hasn't been revealed, and it's actually going to be on the Nintendo Switch 2. Even though that is also weird because you get to the end of the trailer and it's for the Nintendo Switch. And it says, you know, Pokemon and Nintendo Switch are trademarks of Nintendo. So, like, this could be one of the last Nintendo Switch consoles. I guess maybe they could pull a Breath of the Wild, like, as a launch title and just have it on both consoles and try to get more people on the Nintendo Switch too. But that is also really weird. So, another thing is that if you believed that Pokemon Legends ZA was going to be the launch title for the Nintendo Switch 2 before the Pokemon World's closing ceremony, again, you're just choosing to be stupid at that point. You're not being smart, you're not being open-minded, you're not critically thinking about some kind of other angle or surprise that Nintendo and the Pokemon Company are throwing. You're just making crap up that's completely unfounded. But now with this, like, okay, how late in 2025 is ZA coming out? Because, like, a release cycle similar to Pokemon Legends Arceus on the January, February side, maybe even March, that sounds about right. But, like, then we should have a trailer. They should have some gameplay to show us. And no matter how you look at it, it makes no sense that we have no gameplay for Pokemon Legends ZA, because we had gameplay for Pokemon Legends Arceus in the February. So, like, pretty much a year until the game's release, we actually got to see something, and then we got more gameplay in future Pokemon Presents and stuff like that. That's the reveal of Pokemon Legends Arceus. They had this much done and ready to show. Also, Pokemon games are on a 3+ year development cycle with multiple Game Freak teams, so the narrative that people say, oh, let them cook, let them take their time, is complete bullshit. That also doesn't affect anything about Pokemon Legends ZA, and they can at least show gameplay no matter how long it's taking for the game to come out. They can give us gameplay if it's a year and a half from release. But no, like, they had this much to show, and now we don't have anything, and now nothing makes sense. And now the big question is, okay, what about the Nintendo Switch 2? Is Pokemon Legends ZA going to be the Nintendo Switch 2 release title, even though there's really nothing to support that except for timings? And even then, we still don't know anything about the release, the announcement. Like, it's not happening next month guaranteed from these tweets or anything. So, this is the president of Nintendo. We will make an announcement about the successor to the Nintendo Switch within this fiscal year. Problem: Japan's fiscal year is kind of out there. So, April 1st to March 31st. That means the announcement can be December, January, February, when people are expecting, like, oh, we're going to get a Nintendo Direct in September, October. And also, again, like, how can all of those morons out there keep falling for the fake leaks and nonsense where it's like, Nintendo Direct this month, Nintendo Direct this month, trusted leaker says Nintendo Direct sometime soon. It's like, no, they're all just making stuff up. So we have this, like, Nintendo Museum Direct. But because the Pokemon community and Nintendo community is just terminally online morons, they have to keep making these notes. There will be no game announcements or mention of the Switch successor during this presentation. And they keep saying that, you know, Nintendo Switch software lineup for the later half of 2024 with the next Nintendo Direct in June, there will be no information about the Nintendo Switch successor. And people are still, like, trying to come up with some kind of conspiracy about how there's going to be a reveal inside of these things. Even though there's no timing, it makes no sense. Nothing lines up. Whatever. So yeah, we don't even have an idea of when the announcement is going to happen to go into the release. And even with this, they were talking about the tease, where it's like, oh, the existence of the Nintendo Switch was back in March 2015, 9 years ago. But then people cite, well, we got the reveal of the Nintendo Switch October, and then the next year in March is when we had Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild dropping with the Nintendo Switch. It's like, what's the timing? And we don't really know until, like, that Nintendo Direct happens, where it's like, okay, we get the Switch 2 reveal, or Switch Successor reveal, October, November, whenever, and then March, April is when it's then possible to have, like, the release of that console, to maybe have Pokemon Legends ZA be a launch title that can also be simultaneously for the Nintendo Switch. At that point, it just gets so muddy and we don't have enough information to go off of. And there's also other non-stop conspiracies and nonsense. Nintendo has pushed the original October Switch reveal to private on YouTube. This means it's happening. This means it's a reveal. No, the music license ran out. So not everything means that, like, oh, that means they're cooking a reveal because something in the playlist went private. So we got nothing to go off of there. We don't even know what's happening with the timeline for that. And like I said, it's not even like a delay. any pushback for Pokemon Legends ZA or waiting means nothing to the game's quality. It's also really weird because Pokemon Legends Arceus, it came out in January, barely any time after our normal November release for a Pokemon game, and no one's saying like, oh, Game Freak should have taken their time with this one, like they did with Pokemon Sword and Shield and Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Any of the popular statements inside of the Pokemon community are not objective or rational, so it's like, yeah, if Pokemon Legends ZA came out January, February, that'd be like the same development as Pokemon Legends Arceus that people didn't have a problem with, even though the extra 2 to 3 months doesn't matter for the quality of the games compared to Sword and Shield and Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Putting more time into the game isn't going to affect the quality as much as people keep lying about or pretending. Also, the developers, quote-unquote, taking their time isn't always a good thing. There could be development issues from actual serious delays, or the roadmap not coming through how they want, or having to like restart parts of the game and scrap other features that they had progress on, and then that could be why the game's taking longer. And that, again, that doesn't mean like, oh, they were going to release a bad product and then they changed it, so it's good that's taking a year longer. It's like, no. Now, like, the development is struggling, and they're going to have to release it at some point. Also, the Pokemon Company and Nintendo have never held Game Freak to a must be released in November, no matter how much crunch and how unfinished the game is. Pokemon Sword and Shield, Scarlet and Violet released as functional, finished games, objectively. So you can't argue or reason with these people regardless, and then nothing else really lines up or makes sense about what's happening with Pokemon. And no gameplay by August? Doesn't matter when the game's coming out. We need something. Especially for an experimental series like Pokemon Legends. We don't know like the direction this is going to go, especially if it's all taking place inside of a developing Lumio City, which is the worst gameplay design possible, where it's like, wait, we're not getting Kalos Remake, we never got our Z version, and now we don't get to experience the rest of the amazing region that is Kalos, and that just gets forgotten. So who even knows what's going on? No other game reveals as well. An unofficial Pokemon Presents that gave us the exact same information as a Pokemon Presents happened at Pokemon Worlds, and now it could be a really, like, it's not impossible that's a release title, but everything is just so weird here that we can't know what's happening, why it's happening, and just seems to be Pokemon Company incompetence. Also, it's not even like a good business decision, because there's so many ways that the Pokemon Company and Nintendo just leave money on the table. I've been saying forever that, like, Nintendo seems to be allergic to money. The Pokemon Company seems to be allergic to money. All they have to do is release the updated Pokemon Quest that's in China, just localize it, and then they're making tens of millions of dollars off of that. Making Pokemon Battle Revolution 2 to kind of enforce the competitive side of Pokemon on the video games, but instead the Pokemon Company International is corrupt, and they're protecting cheaters like Wolfie VGC from the Pokemon Company of Japan and Game Freak and Nintendo, and everything is just a super duper mess. So yeah, the takeaway from what happened with the Pokemon World's closing ceremony is there's now some possibility that it could be a launch title for the Nintendo Switch 2, but we still have nothing to go off of for that. It just means like, oh, without getting reveal, it's getting pushed back into that territory. So it kind of makes sense there, but there was no justification for it to begin with. And the same thing on like, oh, the game taking longer means literally nothing for the development cadence of Game Freak and the game taking its time. Like, that's just bullshit. So there we go, guys. That's what's going on with Pokemon games. Hope you guys enjoy the video. Hope you all have a nice day. Thank you very much for watching.